Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a head gasket on a first gen CRV. So I believe that's the 1999 all the way to 04, but basically this body shape. First things first, what we're going to do is we're going to drain the coolant. To drain the coolant, take the radiator cap off and then hop underneath the car. Oh wait, yeah, and jack up the SUV as well. Anyway, well, once you've got it jacked up, hop underneath the car and look underneath this way. So the hose is kind of hiding it, but right there you see that thing right there, the white little valve behind the hose. Undo that and you'll start to have water coming out straight down from there. So that's coolant obviously. So I'll let the coolant drain and we'll move on to the next steps. So while we're waiting for the coolant to drain, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take off the front two wheels. With the wheels removed, we're going to start taking this guy off. So there's a couple clips here or whatever. Look all the way around. You want to take this entire plastic shielding off along with this little support bar thing. So there should be a couple of these here, a couple on the other side, and I'll hop underneath and see what else there is. Alright, to get the splash guard off, it looks like there's these two here, and then if we go underneath, we've got one here, we've got a clip over on this side, we've got one over there, and then we've got this guy here. This one's more towards on the bumper, but this one's on the actual splash guard. Then we've got the jacking point, and then we've got the same thing on the other side. So one here, then we've got the one on the bumper, then we've got a clip over here, another 10 mil here, and we're gonna go around here, and it looks like we've got one here. I'll see if I missed any, and I'll let you guys know. So with all those removed, you actually have to remove this guy right here as well. So through this hole, which is gonna release this part here. There's one on this side, same thing on the other side. With all that removed, that just falls off, so we can put this off this side anywhere. What we're gonna do is we're gonna hop back up here, and we're gonna start by taking all these spark plug wires out. So just kind of grab them and wiggle jiggle them out. Do that for every single one. I wouldn't unplug them from here just to make it easier. What I'll do is I'll unplug this guy here. There's a clip on the side right here, which you can press to take it off, press or pull to take the entire connector off of the metal bracket there to make it easier, and then you can just unplug this connector. So unplug this connector on both these three bolts. There's one right here, there's one right there, and let's see if I can grab the other one right there. I think is it this one. There's three bolts holding dizzy to the block, so take those off and move the entire distributor off to the side. Once you've got the distributor out and unplugged, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start removing the air box. From what it looks like, there's one bolt here, and maybe one down there. I'll have to let you guys know. I'll start by removing these and try to pull it right off. And yeah. So there's actually a third bolt all the way down there, if you guys see that. So I'm going to grab that too. So looking down here, there's actually another bolt that we got to take off, that one right there. And probably from underneath, it looks like there's on that same bracket, we've got another one, which is, I think you can't, yeah you can't, oh right there. That one as well. So that one's probably easier to reach from underneath the car. So hopping underneath, you can see it's that one right there. So yeah, get those two, and I think it should just come out from there. So with that bolt pretty much taken off as well, you want to loosen that bolt as well. So that's just to hold the bracket in, of course. So loosen that as well, and we'll go from there. With that bolt down there and that bracket loosened off, you should be able to just kind of wiggle jiggle this out. So I'll wiggle jiggle this out and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so with the intake box off, we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to take these bolts off here, move this off to the side, and then we're going to start working on taking this guy off. So you can just unclip this guy here, and then what we can also do is take this. There's a Phillips head here. We're going to undo that, and this should start coming off. We can also unplug this guy here and put this off to the side. Another thing we can do is, if we take some pliers or whatever, move this off the side, take this entire assembly off. Same thing goes for here. So you also have to remove this guy here, or from here, whichever one works. Once you're done that, we're going to remove the throttle body cable here, so you can undo this thing and then just pull this out from here, and this entire cable will move off to the side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start removing and making space over here. So to remove the cruise control box, try to remove this clip if it comes in the way, but there's 2 bolts here and there's a clip here, so we can unclip this, and I'll let you guys know if there's any other bolts to hold this in. But yeah, so take this guy out and then move the entire thing over, make some room over here. So there's actually one more bolt right there for the cruise control, so I'll take that off and this will move all over there. Next we're going to start moving this, so it looks like there's 2 bolts here, 1 bolt there, there's a 1 bolt here as well. So those, and it should lift off. If not, I'll let you guys know. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to start taking the valve cover bolts off. So anything that you really see here, I guess, probably just take it off. We're also going to disconnect this, same sort of thing, just press with the pliers and pull it off. And unmount this, which is just this power steering hose. So move that off to the side. So yeah, let's get the valve cover bolts all off and we'll go from there. By the looks of it, you can't take the valve cover off because this comes in the way, so we'll take this bracket off by taking this bolt off here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to loosen up the power steering here. So we can, there's this bolt here and there's that bolt here, so we'll loosen these bolts off. You don't have to take them off all the way, and you should be able to slide the power steering around. Once you're able to slide the power steering around, take the power steering belt off, which is right here. Alright, so once you've got the power steering hose, or whatever you want to call it, off, we're going to start by, we're going to try and take the AC one off now. So there's this idler pulley right here, there's a bolt in the middle. You want to loosen that a little bit, and that'll give you some slack on that belt, and you can take that belt off. So next we're going to get the AC belt off, and to get that belt off, if you look here, there's that guy right there underneath the belt that I'm pointing to, and there's the adjuster bolt right there. So loosen the adjuster bolt right here, which is this guy, focus, that guy right there. Let me see if I can get even more right here, and then use the adjuster bolt, which is right there, to loosen the idler pulley, and then you can pull the belt off for the AC. Alright, so we're gonna remove the entire pump here just to make more room to access the AC belt. So just take this bolt off all the way, and that locking bolt out all the way that we loosened earlier, and you should be able to unclip this reservoir out and lift it over, put it over there as well. Alright, so once you've loosened the lock nut off and you've loosened this guy off a little bit, you can take the actual bolt, so put a 6mm on this guy right here. Let's see here. On this guy right here, and twist it to the left. That'll give you slack on the belt, and you should be able to just remove it. So yeah. Alright, now we're going to remove the alternator belt, and to remove that there is 1 bolt right here, right there, that has to be loosened up, and then we have a second bolt right here, right there, that has to be loosened up. So they'll loosen those two, should be able to move the alternator, and the belt will come off. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to try and get this cover off, and to get this cover off, there's 2 bolts over here. Come on, focus. That one and that one over there. So let's get those 2 off, and I'm pretty sure that's all that's holding this guy on here. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to loosen this 12mm bolt. There will be fuel that comes out of here, so make sure there's no sparks or anything like that around there. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to disconnect this guy here, going into here. With that removed, we're going to start removing the power steering bracket, which is these 2 bolts here, and there's a third one down there. So get those 3 and the bracket will come off. Alright, so with the bracket off, what we're going to do now is we're going to remove this hose, or this line and this line, and we're also going to disconnect that which is like on the bottom side of this right there. Now we're going to remove these two. Be careful, coolant will come out. And we're also going to remove this guy right here. So the one that goes with like a weird U, but the top end. Now we're going to disconnect these 4 injector connectors here. Alright, so now we can disconnect this switch here. We can disconnect that right there. Alright, so we're going to disconnect this guy here. We'll also disconnect this guy over here. And that guy over there. There's also one right here that we're going to remove. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this exhaust manifold cover off. So there's a couple bolts. There's one right there, one over there, one all the way down there, another one over there. So yeah, we'll get those and the cover should come right off. Alright, so once you've got the cover off, you want to take off these bolts. I've already done it, but you can take these bolts off. They're all 12 mils, I believe. Once you've gotten those off, hop underneath the car and take these guys off. So there's one here, one here, one here. Maybe these, I'm not sure if we'll have to, but the entire manifold should just come right off. So I'll take those off and we should be good to go. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to rotate the engine to top dead center. So if you look on the camshaft, there's markings that say up there as well. So we want those facing up, obviously. So they're arrows. Oh wait, wrong one. So that, see, they're arrows. We want those to match up with these arrows here, so straight up. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to put a 19mm socket on the crank right here, and we're going to spin it. So yeah, let's do that. Alright, so we rotated the engine and got these to where it says up and whatnot, and we put some bolts in to keep them from spinning. Next, what I did is I removed I supported the engine by the oil pan with a jack and removed this motor mount, the upper part. So there's 3 bolts, 17mm, and you just lift it all up, and that's that. Now we're going to remove the middle timing cover, which is there's a bolt here. If this focuses today. There's a bolt right there. I believe that's it. That's holding the middle portion in. There might be one on the other side, but I'm pretty sure it's just that one. So grab that and we'll be good to go. Alright, so once you've gotten those 2 bolts off, there's a little, I'm not sure if you guys can see it from here. There's a little cap right here, right there, this guy, which is a rubber cap, and you can kind of like, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but yeah. See that thing? So you can just peel that off. There's a bolt in there. And then after that, there's also a bolt right here. Get those 2 bolts off, and that's to get the lower timing belt cover off. Alright, so I'm having trouble getting this bolt off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 19mm with an impact and just take this bolt off, and the crank pulley should come off with that. Okay, so the crank pulley's off. That exposed, that meant we could take this bolt off for the lower timing cover, this one as well, this one here, and the last one is actually not this one, it's the one above, so it's in there. So grab that, and we should be good to go, and this should just pop right off. There's actually one more bolt right there, right here. Sorry, I'm inverted, but like right there. Right there. That might be covered by a clip right there, but you can just unplug the clip and be able to access that bolt. So yeah, that should be the last bolt, and this should just come right off. Alright, so I've got the timing belt cover off, and now we're going to take this guy off. And to take this guy off, I believe there's 2 14mm bolts here. Just take those off and this should come right off. Now there's also one more sensor that I seem to have missed that we have to get, and that's that one right here. So we'll remove this guy, and we'll move on to the next step. Now once you've gotten that sensor, that last sensor that I missed, hop underneath the car, and this is the oil pan, so drain bolt. Look up here at the intake manifold. You'll be able to see 2 bolts, like those ones right there. There's one, and there's 2. Remove those 2. They're attached to the intake manifold, the main intake manifold, and we should be able to go on from there. Alright, now we're going to remove this connector right here. So disconnect this connector and we'll be good from there. Alright, so the next step is to loosen that bolt right there, this bolt right here, by 180 degrees. And then what you want to do is push the tension. This is a tensioner. So you want to push this down and retighten it. Basically you want to create some slack, some room, so that the belt has some slack so you can take it off. Alright, so with the idler pulley loosened off, you can pull the timing belt off. Make sure that you know your ups and ups are up. And yeah, so now our next steps are to take these bolts off, and this will have our entire, camshaft come off. Watch out for the little locking pins. Make sure you don't lose those. Alright, so after you've got the cam gears off, just take the back plate off. There's a gasket or whatever on it too. So we'll pop that off as well. Alright, with the timing cover off, there's, I'm going to put you guys inverted here. I'm going to go back here. There's this hose right here. Come on. This one. You got to unplug this. Use these clips or whatever. These ones. Put it down and pull it right off. Yeah. Alright, once you're at this point, we're all ready to start removing these camshaft caps or whatever they're called. So go on each one, do only 1/3 of a turn every single time all the way around, so that they're evenly loose or whatnot. Yeah. Alright, so once you've got the cams removed, remove these rockers and put them all in order, same as all the bolts and all the caps as well. Alright, once you've gotten all the rockers off, you're going to start removing the head bolts. So you've got 10 bolts, which are these ones, all the ones in the middle of the valves. You want to remove them 1/3 of a turn each time until they're all out. Going in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Make sure you do 1/3 of a turn each time. So go 1/3 here, 1/3 here, 1/3 here, so on, all the way until they're all loosened up. This is to avoid warpage. Otherwise, your cylinder head's going to be screwed. So I'll do those and we'll go from there. Alright, so once you've gotten all those bolts evenly loosened up, you should be able to move the head by hand. And yeah, use 2 hands, get a buddy or something, and lift the entire head off. And we'll go from there. Should I stand on something? Probably bad. Alright, so I've got the head put off to the side, letting it drain of oil and whatnot. What we're going to work on now is to replace the water pump. So to replace the water pump, I believe there's there's probably 5 bolts. Go around them, take them all off, and the water pump should come right out. There will be coolant spilling, by the way, so be prepared for that. Alright, so here's the old water pump and here's the new one. Always make sure to see if both parts look identical before you reinstall. So they look the same, they look good, so I'm going to reinstall this one. I've also went ahead and took out the idler pulley and compared that to the new one, so I'll install that brand new as well. Alright, so while I'm here, I'm also going to be replacing the crank, the front main seal here. So to do that, there's 2 10mm bolts here, and this entire thing just kind of falls off right here. So we'll put that off to the side. I'll clean this area up a little bit so it's easier to work with, but now this should just slide right out. Know the position on it, so it is straight up, but yeah, so just slide this guy right out, and there's the seal. So pop that seal out, soak the new seal in oil for a bit, and pop that back in. Alright, so I've got the new rear main seal in, or the front main seal in, and I've got the timing belt gears and whatever back in too. Now it's basically the reverse of disassembly. I'm going to install a new head gasket here and put the head back on, bolt it down in a specific pattern that I'll tell you guys about, and yeah, it's pretty much just backwards of what we did to get here. Alright, once you've gotten the cylinder head back on, what you want to do is start tightening the bolts, the head bolts down in the reverse order that we took them off in. So this one's going to be first, this one's going to be last, that sort of thing. What you want to do is you want to tighten them all down to 22 foot-pounds the first time around, and then the second time around that you go, you want to tighten them down to around 63 foot-pounds. So we'll do that and we'll go on from there. Alright, so I've got the rockers back installed and the cams and the cam caps. Make sure that you point these guys up when you reinstall them so that they're in the right position. What I did is, obviously, because some of the lobes here will have to push down on the tension of the spring, so they won't really want to sit there that way. So what I did is I kind of loosely put all these caps on, just hand tightened, put a screwdriver into the hole, and then tighten these two to kind of like evenly clamp it down. So yeah, let's do that. And now I'm going to be adjusting valve clearances and whatnot, so I'll walk you guys how to use a feeler gauge and do all that. Alright, so I'm skipping ahead here, but basically what you have to do is, well, I've got these guys on here. You want to spin these lobes here, or these the camshaft gears here, so that these lobes basically are not pushing on the valve here. So if you look at this one's pointing, this egg, the top of the egg is pointing up, and like the bottom of the egg, so this side is down here. So basically what you do is then you can play with the rocker arms. If you got play here, what you want to do is you want to loosen this off, tighten the screw in the middle, and tighten the nut back on. So just you want to get rid of this play. Anyway, do that for all of them, and once you're done, make sure that you point the up on this guy to up. So make sure we have timing back to normal before you put the timing belt on and put everything back together.